Hey, Ute fans, you're watching The Extra Point, brought to you by Public Coffee and presented by UteFans.net, the original home for Ute fans. Cal, we have to mention that Mr. Jordan Wynn's out today with a family illness, so let's be me and you today.
We are a little off balance at the table, and I'm not surprised those offensive players have a hard time getting through some physical setbacks, but I appreciate the fact he was concerned about our health and stayed at home when his family was running a fever.
But a big part of the extra point is missing today, right? So
yes, and we will fill the void as best as we can. We will miss Noodle until he comes back. And I say that in the dearest, most affectionate way. I was able to contact a former graduate assistant coach of his recently because I teach the GA's daughter. And I've simply asked him, give me some dirt on Jordan. So I have plenty of stuff. And that might be why he avoided today. It's because he found out I've got ammo.
All right, that's good to know. Jordan, hope you're watching. So obviously we're coming off of a historic game against USC. We won't spend too much time talking about that, but very emotional game. Kept Utah in contention for the Pac-12 championship game, and maybe more than that. So we're headed into Pullman, Washington. What do you think of Pullman, Cal?
It's a great city. It's a far drive from any major airports. Outside of that, nothing. Pullman is a difficult place to play. This isn't designated a trap game for our Utes in my mindset. It's more of a statement game. You've got Washington State, the Cougars, who are not performing very well, although I will say they're not nearly as bad as local Cougar teams, and I'm not speaking about Kearns High School either. But it's going to be a difficult test of a lot of different variables moving forward. We know we have to win out to have a chance to play at the end of the season in the championship game. Pullman is a situation where they could get lackadaisical. The weather will be cooler. They haven't played in any cool weather yet. And their program is on fumes for many different reasons over the last couple seasons.
Yeah, we've had some tough games with Wazoo over the years. I mean, one that comes to mind right off the top of my head was, I think, 2014, where we blew it at home against them. They had, I think, Connor Halliday was their quarterback. Mm-hmm. You know, Kalen Clay was on our team that year. Travis Wilson was our quarterback, and they came from behind and beat us. You know, we lost, as you said earlier, 2 years ago to them. They're a tough team. They've got a great tradition. This Wazoo team is not the team that we're well acquainted with. It's not the Mike Leach team.
It's not the Mike Leach.
They're still a pass-heavy team, but they're only averaging about 25 points a game right now. They've been riddled with injuries. Obviously, they had that big coaching change last year.
Due to not getting the COVID vaccination. The coach left staff.
Controversial, so you have to wonder about the culture up in Pullman right now. And, you know, like you were saying, Cal, Wazoo just can't catch a break. But I think every game's a trap game. You know, a lot of games are trap games in a Pac-12 schedule. So we don't want to overlook them. You know, we've got some big games coming up after that. But should be a good contest, you know, and obviously the weather will be a factor as well. But
and it's in the middle of it's a Thursday night, so that throws off travel, it throws off your prep. It's going to be a way for the coaching staff to tell the Utes, look, these are variables we need to check off as being fundamentally sound with moving forward, because the biggest road game is still yet to come.
And we're talking about Oregon.
Yes, and we're only taking one game at a time. I'll say it for all the players out there. But after watching that UCLA Oregon game yesterday, I'm sure that all of the fans are knowing that is the target on the back of the Pac-12. And everybody calls every game a trap game in the Pac-12. That's because we put expectations on teams. That's really the only reason why we say trap game. This needs to be a statement game for the Utes. There are so many reasons of things that could go wrong, but after the UCLA debacle road trip, they know exactly what they need to focus on and to prepare for the latter half of the season.
And the last game Wazoo played was against Oregon State. Oregon State's now 5-2, by the way. They're not looking too shabby. But ultimately, Wazoo could not get a running game going. They've been accused of being one-dimensional. We know they love to pass the ball up there. So we know our DBs will be tested, but I think if our defense can come through, it could be a pretty easy win for the Utes.
Offensively for Wazoo, they've been trying to play from behind consistently all season, so that kind of accounts for their lack of a running game. And they're just not very stocked up front. They're very thin. They're injuries. This is the remnants of the Mike Leach era. Most of the athletes that he recruited have left, a la Cam Cooper, the highly touted QB record setting from Lehigh High School here is now at Hawaii because Mike Leach had left Wazoo. There are a lot of player changes. They need an identity. But then that's also another reason why it's a dangerous game, because you should always fear the team that has nothing to lose and everything to gain.
I just have to say something. Cal, I'm curious what your experience has been like playing in cold weather environments as a player. Do you have any good stories?
I hate playing in cold weather. It was not as easy as it is today. I will say that, because you got one pair of gloves. We had to beg the coaching staff for long sleeve shirts under the pads. But this is decades ago. Cold weather now, it's more of a mental thing. The coaches get them prepared. You can't turn up the AC enough in the indoor facility to prepare for an outdoor game in the snow. Like you can prepare for heat or volume or something. You can't emulate that cold without playing outside. And that's a risk that a lot of coaches don't take in preparation, because the end of the season, the best teams are the ones that are the most healthy usually.
I bring this up, obviously, because we've had some snowy games up in Pullman, and playing in Utah, we have some cold games here as well. You remember quite a few, like playing against BYU, for instance, in '94. But I couldn't help. Speaking of BYU, I interviewed Steve Savoy, if you remember him. Great receiver for the Utes. He played in the Fiesta Bowl squad in 2004. Awesome guy, awesome player. And in 2003, Utah played BYU down at LaVell Edwards, and it was a cold game. And we won the game 3-0. I remember that. Ryan Borison had that field goal. But when I was talking to Steve Savoy, just as long as we're talking about cold weather games, he said that he ran up to Alex Smith in the huddle and said, "Stop throwing me the ball. It hurts my hands."
I can believe that. It's a different the cold. It intensifies the contact. If you're a defensive player, you don't want to hit anybody, but you know they don't want to be hit a lot more then you don't want to hit anybody. So it comes down to a mental game. But yeah, if you can figure out the issue of the cold, it's $1 million idea. We used to put surgical gloves underneath our receiver gloves just to try to trap the heat and keep our hands warm, because being a special teams player in a sideline as a freshman, you didn't get to use your body heat very much, unless you were a bigwig and got the big coats on the sideline. Nowadays, seems like everybody's all bundled up on the sidelines.
Well, yeah, just one more thing. You remember Jordan Wynn was talking the other week about the Colorado State game in 2009 where Coach Witt turned off the heaters because the players were getting too comfortable,
The mindset.
So that cold weather creates a lot of good memories, a lot of good stories. But with that said, guys, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. We've got former Poinsettia Bowl MVP Jordan Wynn biting into one of Public Ed's fabulous breakfast burritos. Jordan, what do you think of it?
Man, that is really good. I would highly recommend you stop by this week and get the breakfast burrito. Fantastic. And
that breakfast burrito comes with egg, cheese, avocado, salsa, bacon or sausage, and their famous tots. And
so good.
And Cal, how is that burger?
I hate to disappoint you, Jordan, but you got cheated on this deal. The burger is fantabulous. It's so good I have to make up words. I asked last week where the beef is. It's in my hand and in my digestive tract at this point.
Yep.
You will not be disappointed.
And that's a killer burger. I've had it myself. Lettuce, tomato, IPA jam, which really makes it. Cheese and a special sauce. So come by Public Ed's and try their food. It's amazing. And don't forget about their coffee. Welcome back, you fans. We're joined by the one and only Kennady McQueen. How are you doing, Kennedy?
Good. How are you?
It's a pleasure to have you on. One of our favorite women's basketball players for sure. A local yokel, North Summit High School. Where did you grow up, Kennedy?
I grew up in Hennifer, Utah.
Where's Hennifer?
So it's like, if you know where Park City is, it's about 30 minutes past Park City if you're going towards Wyoming.
Okay.
So I lived like 30 minutes from the Wyoming, like Evanston.
Okay. What do you think of Colville?
Huh?
Colville.
Yeah, that's where North Summit was. Like, Hennifer is 10 minutes from Colville, so I drove to Colville every day for school.
Okay, okay. Mr. Cal Beck, what do you have to say to Miss McQueen here?
Do you still go to the Polar King?
Heck yeah, I still go
What
to
is the best thing on the menu? The Polar King is a local ice cream shop like Iceberg in Colville.
What's your regular order there?
To be honest, when I went to the Polar King, it was always like at lunch, and me and my friends loved their cottage fries, so I'd always get their cottage fries, and then I would always get a twist cone. Though, like, I didn't really eat like full meals there a lot, but like their little side dishes were amazing.
So then you stayed away from the Spring Chicken Inn?
Oh, heck no. That is my absolute favorite. I
And you're
love
just as upset with me that it's
Yes.
not what it used to be.
Yes, I'm so upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cal Beck and his famous questions.
Always.
Yeah. So, Kennedy, on your bio here on the Utah Utes website, it says, type of player opponents don't want to play against, can shoot with range, we know that, incredible toughness, and is competitive. And that's all true, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's true.
You're a heck of a shooter. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but last year you were 6th in the nation in three-point field goal percentage at 44.2%.
I think that's correct, yes.
So what makes you such a good shooter? When did you know that you were good at shooting?
To be honest, in high school, like, I was a good three-point shooter, but, like, nothing spectacular. But when I got to college, I realized, like, I kind of had to change for a second what I was good at just to adjust into our team that year. And just knowing, like, how much time I put in, like, I was always on the gun freshman year, just shooting and shooting and shooting, catch and shoot. So I think just knowing the work I put in gave me so much confidence to be a good three-point shooter. So come game time, it made it easy to rely on the work you've put in.
Practice, 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 of
Yes.
course. And the other thing that our audience should know is Miss McQueen here is a great two-way player. So you had 33 steals last season, and you led the team in steals.
Right.
So you have toughness on both sides of the ball.
Right.
So what's been your favorite memory as a Ute so far?
I think it has to be beating Oregon in the Pac-12 semifinal game last year. A lot of our players had never beaten Oregon in their career in the Pac-12. So I think that was such a big moment. We lost 2 close games to them earlier that season. So I think when it came time for the Pac-12 tournament, we also wanted that win. So I think it was so exciting.
I actually have a question from one of our message board posters, Greg in SLC. For Kennedy, which Pac-12 team do you like beating the most? Is it Oregon?
I would say Oregon yeah.
Really, not BYU.
Oh, well, yeah, that's super fun.
But it was a Pac-12 question, right?
Oh, that's true. That's true. So your favorite team to beat in the Pac-12 is Oregon.
Yeah, and I think another really exciting team, I haven't beaten them yet, but Stanford. Me and Gianna were just talking yesterday how we want to be sure that we beat every single Pac-12 team in our career, and so Stanford's our last one and Arizona are the last ones to check off our box. So I think just that's so exciting. Any of those 3 teams would be super exciting to beat.
One thing I've noticed by looking at your stats and reading up on you guys was that you have a tendency to show up in big games. You've had what do you think has been your biggest game so far? Was it in the tournament last year?
Yeah, I would say our March Madness tournament or any of the Pac-12 tournament games.
Was that Arkansas?
Yeah, Arkansas was our first game.
And they were ranked. They were the 10th seed, and you were the 7th. Yeah,
Yes.
and you blew them out of the water.
Yes, we
And
did.
And I think you scored over 20 points that game.
I did.
Yeah, impressive. Cal?
You contributed from day one when you stepped onto campus, and you talked about the evolution of your game going behind the arc. And that highlights a great mentality that I would like to attribute to you and other athletes when they realize that it's not what you can do, but what you're willing to do
Right.
to contribute. Not being the best player on your team, but being the best player for your team. So thank you for that. And obviously this trickles into your academic approaches. You are a major in kinesthesiology, correct?
Yeah, kinesiology.
What do you plan on doing with that?
The plans to be, I'm thinking a physical therapist right now, but it's a little difficult because my 5th year, like, you're advised not to get into physical therapy just because it's really hard. So I'm thinking I'm going to start my master's in athletic training for that 5th year, get my master's degree in athletic training, and then go back to school and get my physical therapy degree.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You just recently wrapped up a skills camp for kids.
Yes.
The whole team did. And thank you for doing that. It takes a village to raise children. Being an educator, I firmly believe that. What is the biggest takeaway that you get from those skill camps or working in the community with young children?
Yeah, I think it's just an awesome way to give back. We want fans and people that care about us, and so when we hold things like that, like, you can just really tell, like, how much we're supported by this community. And I think just remembering, like, being a little kid and going to camps like that, like, there was nothing more fun or something you looked forward to more. So I think just remembering that and that we were those kids once is just super fun to be able to.
When you make that eye contact and that kid's smile goes ear to ear and it doesn't wane or disappear at all,
Right.
you know you've made an imprint. And you seem to make that a priority in the community. As a team, as a person, thank you very much for that. You wear the number 24?
Yes.
Your mother wore 24.
Yes, she
correct.
did.
And obviously you wear it because your mother donned the same digits. Is there a reason 24 was special to her?
That's a great question. I've never asked her if there's a reason for that. My number always used to be 12. So and then when I got to Utah, 12 was taken. So I was like, what do I do? And then it was an obvious choice. Like I have to be what my mom was when she was here. So I think that was super cool.
And your mom was a standout athlete, basketball player for the U.
Yes.
89 through 91, I believe.
Yes. That's right.
And you were the Gatorade Utah women's basketball player, Gatorade Player of the Year. Does that come with any free Gatorade?
No, but I wish it did. When I first got it, we got like some free Gatorade bottles and stuff. But no, that would be awesome though.
Now, your mom was an awesome guard. You're a phenomenal athlete and a guard. We know what the standing would be or the outcome would be today. But I pose you the question. You in your prime right now, playing your mom in her prime back then, one-on-one, how bad do you beat her?
If it's a game to 21, I'm thinking like 21 to 14.
That's fair.
But she's really good at defense, so she might give me some fits there.
And she knows your secrets.
Right.
Oh,
she
man.
Knows your
does.
secrets.
She does.
So I have a question. I'm not totally clear on your recruitment, but I know that when Lynn Roberts recruited you, she said you could start contributing as soon as you got to the team. Was that what made you choose Utah ultimately, that you knew you could play right away as a freshman?
I think that was definitely a part that I think any recruit would jump on, hearing that the coach wants you to contribute as soon as you got here. But no, I think knowing my mom played here and growing up a Ute fan, that was always the dream, was to play at Utah. So I think once I got that offer, that took priority. Was just that I could follow my mom's footsteps and play in the top level. But yeah, also hearing that I'd be able to contribute as soon as I got here played a role too.
What do you think of Coach Roberts?
Love her.
Yeah.
I think
The consensus, it seems.
Yeah, I think her style of coaching is, she demands a lot and she expects a lot. That it just raises the bar for us players and everyone around her. She's just the type of coach that you'd be willing to run through a wall for. She just drives that out in me and the rest of our team. So I think that's just what makes us separate when we come to big games, is that we've put in the work and we've trusted her in the coach's process.
So one thing that has occurred to me is we have another guest coming on, Mr. Micah Bernard. Both you and him have your own clothing brands, I discovered. Right. So a question from one of our beloved message board posters, Absolute Ute. He said, besides being fans, what's the best way the community can support your professional careers?
That's a really good question. I think just coming to college and what you take away from college and being around the community, you learn some things. And just like we had a bruncheon with the Utes thing the couple weeks ago, and we had a chance to sit back with some of our biggest supporters, and that's actually one of the questions they asked me, is how they can give back like that. And they just said, just having conversations with them, you learn a lot. So I think being a listener is one of the best ways you just can learn. So I think just listening to them and their advice is one of the best ways.
What inspired you to start your own clothing line? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so once NIL came, I was like, of course I want to jump on this, and I think it's an awesome way to benefit people around me and people that have supported me, and then also help set me up for a better future. So when it came to getting my clothing line, I had that deal reach out to me, and I was like, that would actually be really cool. And being from a small town, I know everyone was always, got to get my Ute gear, so I think it was super cool to be able to personalize that so they could still show up and come support my team and me, but also know who they're rooting for in the background is super cool.
Do you see a lot of your clothing in Hennifer?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's cool. That's way cool. Well, Kennedy, so grateful for coming on. You're
Thanks
an
for
awesome
having
player.
me.
And Ute fans, let's go out and support our Utes this season up at the Huntsman Center, especially the women's basketball team.
It's going to be awesome.
Kennedy, our pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hey, Ute fanatics of Ute Nation, Cal the Rocket Beck here, reminding you that when you are looking for a blitz of energy or to even tackle your hunger, there is not a better place to huddle than Public Ed's Coffee House, located in the shadow of President's Circle. Go Utes and come get some goodness.
Welcome back, Ute fans. Cal Beck.
So we neglected to mention Nazareth. The University Running Utes, the ladies, are playing Nazareth on October 27th in the Huntsman Event Center, and they've got Westminster November 1st. So come out in full force, and let's get those Utes running.
And we have Mr. Micah Bernard, number 2. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. So, Micah, walk us through this SC game the other week. What were your impressions walking away from that one? A very emotional game, right?
Yeah, very emotional. I think that as a team, we always know we can pull it off, but it's just a matter of how and when. And first 2 quarters was tough. We couldn't put the ball in the end zone. We couldn't really stop anybody on defense. Special teams not too good. But we always know that we're going to win, but we just got to figure out how to flip that switch. And once we flip that switch, start stopping USC, start putting the ball in the end zone, you kind of see what type of team we are and how we fight back. And it was very emotional. And I think once after the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter came around, we showed a video, the moment of loudness, that really increased our blood levels, and it helped. And those guys was looking over us, and we got it done.
Awesome. Cal?
You're from the LBC, Long Beach. Favorite Snoop song?
I don't know if I can say it on here.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
Sounds like Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg is he's a master at what he does, and he has a lot of good tunes. But
Is that your pregame music?
it's not. I'm a new school guy. I like the Lil Baby, Lil Uzi, Drake, all of them. But I still get those vibes sometimes.
How many of your teachers mispronounce your first name on the first day of school?
99.9% of them. I believe there's one substitute teacher that got it right, and there was no pronunciation on the paper, and they just guessed it right. And I was just like, wow, that was the first time I've ever seen that, ever heard it. It was crazy because everybody gets it wrong 99.9% of the time.
Similar situation for me growing up with it. Awkward to speak last name, and not Beck, long story. But was there ever a point in your childhood where you said to yourself, I am going to become so big that people will learn how to say my name?
I did.
Do you remember the age?
I want to say it was in Little League, but it was towards the end of it. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to get to the NFL. I'm going to be a big person, and nobody will ever mispronounce my name ever again, because they will know. They see me, and now you think Micah is Micah every time you see it.
Yep.
That's what I want everybody to
that.
see. Micah is Micah every time they see it.
Well put. I've been having fun in the Halloween sense of things with our offense. If you consider Bad Moon Rising the Van Helsing of defensive slayers, he has his stake through the heart, which has been Tavion Thomas, the pounder right up the middle. I like to refer to you as the silver bullet of the offense. Very, not the go-to, but very effective and reliable. Your carries have been in key situations. They put you in high-stake third downs. They want to get you tough yards. They get you the ball in the open field. Have you felt that this new role or this approach has changed your game style?
I think so. I think I got to think about more different things. One thing I had to get better at, and I think I'm pretty close to being a master at, is pass pro, being a third down back. High school, didn't have to do none of that. First 2 years, not much of it. And I found that role and being able to do it and being able to play more because of it. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I was able to realize that, become a third down back, short yardage situations, long down situations, 2-minute situations. It just helped me elevate my game in ways that I didn't know I needed to.
Now, anybody is aware of the position change that you had last January in the Rose Bowl. And I just got done with our former segment and our guest stating that great players don't try to be the best player on the team, but the best player for the team. It's not what they can do, it's what they're willing to do. And you took on a humongous responsibility crossing over sides of the ball to play defensive back in a high-stakes situation. That pressure is a privilege, but that is an insurmountable amount of expectations that people had focused on you and praised and sang your praises nationwide after you gave it your all and performed extremely well. So now that you've experienced both sides of the ball, how confident are you in saying that DBs are the best athletes on the field and the best looking?
Well, we always have this conversation in the locker room. DB is exceptionally hard. They're not that good looking, you know. When I went over to the other side, I made them good looking, but other than that,
You
not
raised
really.
the average.
But I don't know. I think every position has their different. I think every
That's our
position.
mascot. Yeah.
I think every position has their level of toughness, and it just depends on like who you are. It can be very easy. Like if I say Clark Phillips is an exceptional DB. He makes it look easy. So would you say it's hard? I don't know. When I went out and played, it was quite difficult. But again, it was my first game playing DB in a college situation and high stakes. And I feel like if I would have had at least a couple more games under my belt, I could have done a little better. But, O-line can be difficult. QB is a very difficult position. So
They
I
tell
don't
us
know.
that.
It is. I sat with Cam for a couple of days, and we just went over a lot of things, and he has to go through a lot in his mind. I'm just like, yeah, okay. Couldn't be me.
They are the brain surgeons.
Yeah,
That
for
they
real.
are.
Yeah.
So
And,
what-
and with you playing the other side of the ball, we don't have any space to stand up. I got in trouble last week for using physical space, so I brought props. So I want to talk about leverage.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't understand leverage in the football sense, but this is one of the variables that comes in key to every single play at every single position. So I've got you at corner, and I have the wide receiver here. Here's the football inside. Leverage is your positioning on the person you're defending or the person that's defending you. So in this instance, you want to have an inside leverage to the wide receiver because the throw is shorter there in your drops. It can switch, but you have to be conscientious not to play mostly heads up. When wide receivers run their routes, they're conscientious of stemming or starting off to force the DB into a certain situation. DBs have to alter their back pedal to keep that relationship. Now that you have experienced the defensive side of the leverage struggle, has it helped you elevate your receiving and your route running and what you look for in the defense, in the zone or the man coverage, because you're getting a lot of balls thrown your way?
Right, yes. And I'll take it back to fall camp. We're always going against our defense because, it's fall camp, we're getting started. And, playing on the other side of the ball, I would just be like, okay, now I'm looking at Clark Phillips. I'm looking at JT Broughton. I'm looking at, the safeties and linebackers. I know what they're going to do now because of me being on the other side of the ball and playing that position. So now I'm thinking about leverage. I'm thinking about what I can do, how my route is going to pan out. So, yes, leverage is a lot of that, and learning from the other side of the ball helps you that a lot.
You understand a lot more of the why and the how.
Yes.
Now that you've baptism by fire, to say the least.
Exactly.
So we got a question here from one of our message board posters, Mr. Make. What's the toughest aspect of being a running back? Pass pro, between the tackles, with your ability to catch the ball out in the backfield, how much do you like that part of the game plan?
The most difficult aspect, I would say, is pass pro. The reason for that
What is pass pro? For someone who doesn't know, what's
pass pro is typically, depending on the defense, you have 3, 4, 5 rushers. There's 5 offensive linemen. Linemen take 5 guys.
And
3
the
guys
pro
or
is
4
for
guys.
protection.
And
Pass
pros for protection, right? So as a running back, you could pick up blitzes. It can be anybody, especially in our offense. It could be corners, it could be linebackers, it could be safeties. And you just got to know when they're coming because there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of different formations they can line up in. And, there's a lot of calls on our end that we flip protection and stuff like that. So it's a lot going into it before the play. I have to know what the play is already, and then I have to look for a guy who's potentially is coming, potentially is mine. So it's just a lot that goes into it, pre-play, and then once the play happens, everything just switches fast.
Okay.
And now you got to think, do I pick anybody up? Do I have to get out? Do I have to run a route? Do I have to help out? It's just so much going on, and I think that's the hardest part. Running the ball, You look at your reads, pre-play, you get the ball, you make it happen. But pass pro's a totally different beast. But, once you master it, it becomes easier. It becomes second nature.
It's a situation of if not A, then B, unless C, then D, or it could be E to F and maybe G.
Exactly.
And you have to know all of those circumstances, variables, and be able to read pre-snap. And that's why the offensive players are pointing and talking so much, especially on the line, is to also give you help in the backfield of seeing where they're picking up.
Exactly.
And you can see where those blitzes are coming. You are a sneakerhead, to say the least.
A little bit, yeah.
Favorite pair of shoes ever?
I like 4s. I do. I love 4s. But I also love 11s. So I don't have these yet, but I want them, and I'm hoping to buy them, but I want the cap and gown 11s.
Ooh.
They're so nice. They're so beautiful. Oh, if I could get my hands on those, I would be happy.
Now, you said cap and gown, and you have already 1 degree, correct?
I do.
So you're a sophomore eligibility-wise, but he has already donned the cap and gown. Was that in communications?
It was, yeah.
Now, what are you pursuing post-grad?
Post-grad, I don't have anything I want to pursue yet. I still got a lot going on with football and stuff like that. So, that hasn't came to fruition yet, but we'll see.
Excellent.
As fans, how can we support you? What's the best way to support you off the field, like in your professional careers, your professional endeavors? Obviously, you've taken a grip of NIL. You have your own clothing line, right? So how can we support you better in those endeavors?
That's a good question.
Just,
it's like
not just the clothing line, but like your career,
I see that. I think that people have done tremendous. They've been a tremendous help with me. When you come here, you're not really known, and when I got here, it wasn't really known. A couple people knew me, and it was cool to finally, raise the bar. But now I've seen a lot of people contact me and want to communicate with me, and I think that helps me a lot because I like to communicate. I like to talk. And when I first got here, a couple people used to hit me up, and I used to text back. But it's kind of harder now because, my level is going up now.
Yep.
So more and more people are taking wind of me. But I just try to respond. I like to talk, and I like to, boost my knowledge. And if you can help me do that, I'm appreciative of you.
And one last question from me, anyway. You're obviously one of the leaders on the team. How do you mentor the young players like the Jalen Glovers? Like, what's that like?
I want them to succeed. The guys before me, when I came in, wanted me to succeed, even if it meant, taking playtime away from them. I want to see the younger ones succeed because when I'm gone, he's up next. And I want, Utah football to be the best when I'm gone still.
Right.
So if I can instill anything I have into him, then that's what we all need. And you see that with a lot of guys on the team. They want the younger guys to succeed because they know when we're gone, we still want to be the top-level team. Mm-hmm. We want to look back at Utah football and be like, wow,
right.
They're amazing.
And that's the culture that we keep hearing about, best player for your team, right?
Not just on your team, the best player for your team, but that really speaks to the brotherhood of the Ute Nation, and it is a camaraderie that's unrivaled by a lot of other spots. I mean, winning programs at the Bamas, the Tennessees, the big, huge programs, yeah, it's fun to be a part of something that's traditionally successful. But when you have grown up and seen this program raise itself by its bootstraps and build itself on itself, and for people to make that type of commitment to, I'm going to leave it better than when I found it, and I'm going to take pride in it from every day on. Today is my 10,302nd day as a Ute. I signed my letter of intent day 10,302 days ago. I keep track of it. There's a reason, because I'm proud, because I love going to the games and seeing this young man do his thing in his Deuce jersey, and me saying, yeah, I'm cheering him on because that found work was laid by the people before me, helped by me, and many people after me. And that is the camaraderie that brings people to this campus, not just the football program.
And I have to say something else is we've talked a little bit about the Rose Bowl last year and your ability to step up and show up for the team and the fans and the state. You took a hit on that last drive before we scored again in SC. It was third down. They gave you the ball, and you got hammered, but you got right back up. And I just think something I've noticed about you, Micah, is like you played defensive back in the Rose Bowl. You're not afraid to take those big hits. No fear. That's the thing I just noticed consistently about you, and that's probably part of what makes you a great leader on the team. So we appreciate that, and you're a great Ute. There's no question. I'm never gonna forget. Like, well, who's gonna play? We're thin at DB. Who's gonna play DB in this game? Micah Bernard. That's a great memory, man. I mean, and that's against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, nationally televised. One of the biggest games of the year. But you showed up. You showed up for your teammates. You showed up for the fans, and we appreciate you. So thanks for showing up for us today.
I appreciate
And
everybody.
You've been in the DB room. How good is your Coach Shaw impersonation?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not good. It's not great. Like, you know, when you thinking about it in your head, it's amazing, and then you say it out loud, and it's horrible. I got one. Let me see. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. Don't know if it's gonna be good or not. But when we have our special teams meetings, he'll go out always 5 minutes before the clock runs out and yell, "Special teams! Kick off! Kick off return! On return!" And he does that for the full 5 minutes.
Yep.
For the full 5 minutes, the same way.
And that is remnants of Coach Sean McNabb, who was the coach the special teams coach when I was there, and he would run around, "Commandos, commandos, Pathfinders, Pathfinders, you're up, you're on deck." So it's part of that tradition, and that was on point. Very nice job.
Very good.
Nice
Very
job.
good. Well, Micah, you're a great Ute. Thanks for coming on, and we'll jump into our next segment. Hey, Cal, where do you get the best limeade in Salt Lake City?
Right here at Public.
Mint limeade. Oh my gosh. In-house, all ingredients in-house. Primo.
Come down to Public today and try their limeade as well as their fabulous coffee or some avocado toast.
The delicious flavors will be on an all-out blitz into every gap between your taste buds.
Oh yeah.
Welcome back, Ute fans. Cal, ask me what time it is.
What time is it?
Time for Stump the Utes. I'm so glad you asked. So we've got Miss Pat Condie, super fan here.
Happy to be here.
Otherwise known as Cute Ute from the Ute Fans Message Board. We're so
Yeah.
happy to have you. This is a great segment, and we'll just jump right into this, Pat.
Okay.
What questions do you have for me and Cal today to stump us?
Okay, I'm going to do my best to stump you guys.
It won't take much.
Okay, so Cam Rising threw for over 400 yards against USC. Who is the last QB to throw for over 400 yards?
BJ.
He knows it.
That was too easy.
Where was the game? Do you know?
Oh, SDSU in 2005.
That
So it's been 17 years?
Yeah, 17
I
years.
can't believe it's been that long.
It
Wow.
seems like he just played
Yeah.
a few years ago.
All right.
So,
Well,
okay.
keep them coming.
Okay. In the last game, Dalton Kincaid had 16 catches, which was awesome. So who was the previous player that had double-digit catches?
You know?
no.
Give us a hint. How recent was it?
It was in 2017.
And was it a transfer player
It was a transfer player.
from Oregon?
You got it.
Darren Carrington.
Okay, very
Ding,
good.
ding, ding.
Okay.
Give us another one.
All right. What was the final play of Eric Weddle's career against what team, and what bowl game was it in?
It was in the Super Bowl against the Bengals.
Okay, with the Utes. That doesn't count.
I actually think I know this one. I think
This
I know
was a
this
tough one. This has 3 different answers. Okay.
3 different answers. 2006 Armed Forces
Okay.
Bowl.
Very good, very good. Okay. But
And-
his final play was memorable because it showed character. A lot of
Ooh.
character.
That's a good one.
Okay.
I would say an interception, but he played in the Wildcat in that game. He took snaps. I remember that.
Okay, but see the interception.
Yeah.
He could have ran it back. What did he do?
He didn't. He
He
slid.
took a knee.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
took
yeah.
a knee, and he could have ran it all the way for a touchdown. So I was impressed. That
Eric, if you're watching, you're a great Ute. Yeah, that's a really good question.
he didn't want to rub it in, which just showed high character.
So,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so Utah is currently on a 12-game winning streak at home. What is the longest home winning streak under Coach Witt?
The number of games?
The number of games, yeah, because we're on a 12-game winning streak at home now.
It had to have been after the Sugar Bowl season. We won 13 games in a row that year, and then the next, it had to have been, was it 18 games?
You're pretty close. It was 21 games,
Okay.
so you're pretty close.
21 consecutive games.
Yeah,
Okay, so okay.
that's impressive, 21. But now we're in a 12-game streak, and that could go on for a while.
I just take them one game at a time.
I got a question for you, Pat.
Uh-oh.
This is actually from LAU. You might know him.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see. Who kicked the winning field goal against BYU in 1993?
I was there.
Oh, then you know.
Jurgensen.
Chris Jurgensen.
I was there, and
know
we
him.
went crazy.
I was there.
Chris, it was like a 53-yarder.
55.
Okay, I was close, but
The first 34-31.
And I'm pretty sure Craig Bolerjack called that. Yeah.
we went nuts at that game. We went nuts.
So I have a question. Oh,
okay.
sorry, Pat. I was going to ask you a question here. So what's been your favorite memory as a fan?
Oh, there's so many.
If you had to pick one, like this is that desert island question, you're going to take this one memory with you. What would it be?
So many. Well, probably, there's so many, but one of my favorite was probably when we beat BYU, was it 48-24?
2008?
No, 2004.
Oh, that was, yeah, we won like 51 to 27.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, anyway, to go to the BCS game. You know, we
Were we-
killed BYU, and then that game, you know, that's what spurred us on to play against Pitt in the Fiesta Bowl.
I thought you would have
So-
said when Mr. Kincaid gave you your shirt.
Well, that was too obvious, because he's my favorite player, but that was way too obvious, yes. That was, but yeah, going to the first, to be in the BCS, what is it called, the
Busters.
Busters.
Yes, Busters.
That was pretty special. That was one of my favorite moments, but there's just too many to mention.
Okay, I actually have a question here from Mr. Newbaum Turk. Some of you might be acquainted with him. I'm telling you, he has the hardest questions. When the Utes beat BYU in 1978, who was the quarterback?
Randy Gomez.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then
Love you, Randy.
who caught the winning touchdown pass in that game?
Henry, was it Frank Henry?
I think that's right.
That might be.
Newbaum, you're gonna have to check us on that one, but I'm pretty sure you're right about
Frank
that.
Henry, yeah.
Well done.
I know, and that was even that was way before. I mean, I was young, even young then.
One more question for you, Pat. Who's your all-time favorite Ute? I know.
I
tough
like
question
so many
today.
players, but it's got to be Alex Smith.
Alex Smith. Have you met Alex?
Oh, several times,
Okay.
yes.
He's a heck of a guy, a heck of a quarterback.
Yeah, Alex
It's-
Smith.
Some might
I
say-
mean, I could name I could go name a ton, but yeah, Alex.
Well, cool. Well, Pat, so grateful to you for coming on.
Well,
Seriously.
thank you.
We love
Happy
our
to
fans.
be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we love our fans, and we're happy to have the famous cute Ute
Oh,
on. So, we'll be right back, guys. Hey, Ute fans, thanks for watching The Extra Point. Check us out on iHeartRadio, Apple Music, or Spotify, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and go Utes.
Go Utes. I guarantee both of our guests' names have been mispronounced more times than not by their teachers.
Yeah, he got mad at me
First day of
once
school.
for saying it
Sure.
the wrong way.
I said his name wrong the first time I met him. So.
Yeah, Micah.